Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Sunny Side Up. In the studio, or rather on Zoom, is Abhishek Singh, who is a child artist. He has several films under his belt as a child artist, and we will pick his brains, ask him what he sees as the future and what got him started, what's his inspiration, and multiple other questions. Welcome, Abhishek.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So first of all, tell me, where are you located right now?
Currently, I'm living in Finland,
Finland.
we've been living here for 2 years now.
Excellent. How did you land up in Finland?
Well, we had to move here because of my dad's work, but before we were living in London, and that's where I got started.
Excellent. So how did you get started in this industry? Tell us what was your beginning like?
In the beginning, I didn't really have any, goals to really become an actor or act in these big films that I have. It was sort of just as a passion project at first, but it started with a drama class that I had to join because of in school. So I joined this drama school, and my teacher thought that I was a good actor. So she signed me up for agency audition, which I didn't really think much of. I just said, yeah, sure, I'd love to do it. So I went for it. I did the audition. I didn't really think much of it, but then the agent got back to me with an audition for a film. And that was like sort of the first time I had got an audition or this sort of feeling of being an actor sort of thing. And after that, I just went on audition after audition, and it just became into this big thing after that. So I'm kind of grateful that I went for that. Yeah.
Which film was your first film?
My first film was actually Bollywood film Dobara, which is the horror movie Dobara, See Your Evil, and that was the first film that I did. Before, I had done some work in TV shows and also some adverts, but this was sort of the first production of film that I was doing, and there was a little bit of differences in TV work and film work, but yeah, I enjoyed both. So yeah.
What's the difference between TV work and film work?
The TV work that I had done previously was in Call the Midwife and Doctor Who, which are both BBC programs. And those sort of things are a lot more, not slow paced, but at the same time, they don't have that sort of pressure of, you have to get all of this filming done so that you can send it out on the right time. Well, obviously there is a set time for TV shows, but it was more about, getting the shot in for that one episode and then moving on to the next. While when you're working on a film, it's more about getting that perfect shot so that you can have it done. And also there was a little bit more pressure because it was that one film, and it was, everything that it was building up to be. And especially since it was a horror film, it was like you were sort of needed to be in the mindset of a scared little child. So that also was like the first time I had to do one of those roles, and at first I found it quite challenging, but as you go through it more, it becomes easier and easier.
So how much rehearsal was required, and how did you manage with your education, and did your education suffer?
In Britain, they had this really good thing where if you were out and you were filming for more than, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks, then they would give you a tutor. Like the production company would have to give you a tutor. So when I was filming Dobara, I was in summer break, so I didn't need a tutor. But then I got a film Baar Baar Dekho, and that was overlapping with my studies. So they gave me a tutor, and it was being filmed in Glasgow, which is in Scotland, and I was living in London. So there would be a tutor that would come to the hotel, and every day for 2 hours, I would sit with the tutor and study. And the tutor would sort of coordinate with teachers. So I wasn't really falling behind that much in school. So they had a really good way of making sure that my studies were, kept up to date. And with rehearsal wise, it was like we would be given the script, and before going into it, we would have a chemistry test. So for example, the first time I met Siddharth Malhotra, we met in a hotel room, and we sat there just saying our lines and seeing how they would go. And that's when I first really got to know him, and that's when we were bouncing off these lines. So that's sort of how the rehearsal went. We were just sitting one-on-one with the main person, just talking with them. And then also during the set, there would be one scene where we would just rehearse. They would record it, but it would just be a rehearsal thing, and then a proper take. So like that sort of thing would be the rehearsal process and the study mechanics.
So how was your chemistry with your co-actors, the older co-actors, which are like some of the bigger Bollywood actors? How was your interaction with them, and did they support you? Did they help you out in the beginning?
Oh, it was great because they were all very nice and kind. Especially Siddharth Malhotra. He was very nice because he was playing my father. We needed to have sort of a good chemistry, but he was always quite kind. He talked to me. We had a lot of fun on set also at times. So that was nice. They were all very nice to me, and it was nice acting with them, and we had fun as well. So there was no sort of problem there. It was very, very good in that sort of sense.
Has there ever been a situation where the director got upset with you or said something to you that you didn't like?
Well, I always think that even when I was doing theater, I think when the director is saying something, they're not like trying to scream at you, they're just trying to get the right shot, which I didn't really understand, especially when I was doing the Dobara film. So in that film, I had to be, sad. I had to show emotion. I had to sort of convey all of these sort of feelings, and the director felt that emotion wasn't coming out in the film. So when there was one part of the film where we were shooting a very emotional part where the police were sort of dragging me away because I had done something. So in that scene, he felt that I was being sort of too upbeat. I was crying in that scene. I was doing all of that, but he felt that it wasn't, the emotion wasn't coming enough. So he called me over. He said, "Listen, I can replace you, this sort of thing, just to sort of get me more sad." And that put me in the sad feel, in the sad emotion. And when it first happened, obviously I felt like, I felt horrible, like, why would you say these sort of things? But then later on I realized, it was to get that emotion for that scene and for that particular part. So I don't really regret that anymore, because it did turn out to become a really good scene. So it's fine now.
So they basically played a mind game with you to get you
Yeah,
in the right mood so you could react.
yeah,
That's genius. That's pure genius.
yeah. Well, it is genius, but it was also quite sad when it first happened.
Well, that was the whole
Because
point, to make you sad.
yeah,
He
yeah,
he pulled
yeah,
the right strings to get you to
yeah,
react the way you reacted.
yeah. He
Uh,
was a very good director. He was very good.
what do you think? Do you see yourself continuing to act as an adult? Would you continue to, like, do you aspire to becoming a mainstream actor and pursue acting full time, or do you see this more as a hobby?
Well, I see it sort of both ways. It started off as a hobby, but obviously I can't ignore that it is becoming more and more as a proper full-time opportunity. And I definitely don't want to give that away, because not many people get this sort of amazing opportunity to become an actor. So I do want to continue acting even when I become an adult. But at the same time, I don't want to just focus on acting. I also want to focus on other things that I want to aspire to be in, studies or different avenues. But I definitely don't think I'm going to stop acting anytime soon, because I do enjoy it and I do love acting.
Um, so after the first film that you did, was it easier for you to land more roles? Were you able to find more roles in other films, or was it difficult? Did your first film help you in getting more roles?
I'd like to think that it did, but at the same time, so the first film I did, I was recording it, and we were filming the first film, and then I got the audition sort of in the middle of shooting, or towards the end of shooting for Dobara. I had the audition for Baar Baar Dekho. So it really, like, the first film didn't really affect the second film. So I mean, it didn't really help that much, but at the same time it did put a big like dent in my CV of what I've done and what I've sort of experienced and things. So it definitely helped out later on, but at the same time it didn't as well. So I think it all sort of balanced out.
it balanced out. So now for future, I mean, for the other projects that you will continue to do you have an agent, like a theatrical agent or a commercial agent, or you just do it
Um,
on your own?
Well, previously I did have an agent in London, Mark German. He was the agent in London, but ever since moving to Finland, I've sort of been, or rather, my mother has sort of been looking for auditions and these sort of things. And obviously, having a background in acting and different sort of things, auditions do come a lot more than, for example, if you had no background at all in acting. So it has been harder without an agent because there's not just a person who's telling you, hey, you've got an audition in a couple days or things like that. Because in London, I had an audition maybe every week or every 2 weeks. So there were a lot of auditions coming. But here, since we don't have an agent in Finland, it's much harder to get auditions and things like that. But I still do get like a decent amount of auditions.
And how do you audition? Do you do the Skype or virtually or self-recording? How do you do it?
Yeah, ever since the coronavirus outbreak, it's been mostly video recordings of me playing out a script or things like that. But that's sort of normal in auditions, so I didn't really find it that weird because even for other roles, I had to do, video auditions or things like that. So it didn't feel that weird to me. They would give a script, I'd have to memorize the script, send in a video, and that would be it. So recently I've been doing a lot of auditions and also been doing some Finnish auditions, so expanding my area, not just in English and Bollywood, but also in Finnish and Swedish and things like that, since that is the sort of main area here. But I do want to get more.
So are you getting any local projects? Are you getting any projects in Finland? Are they casting any South Asian kids in Finland who could, fill in the roles? And do you speak the language?
Yeah, so I do speak Finnish, but there are also some roles where you're not required to speak Finnish. It's just like an English role, but it's also a Finnish TV show. For example, I had an audition for a South Asian character in a TV show in season 2 of their TV show where I had to speak English. So that was kind of easy for me because I didn't have to speak Finnish, but at the same time, I do learn Finnish and I can speak Finnish. So it's not that much of a problem anymore. But when we first moved here, I sort of had to wait like a year because I needed to grasp the language fully before I could, start doing full-fledged Finnish auditions for movies and things like that. But there isn't like a low demand for South Asian actors here. Like they're definitely looking for South Asian actors. So I don't think it'll be that much of a problem. Obviously, it's not as much as, say, for example, in Bollywood or sometimes even in Hollywood. But at the same time, it's not like there's absolutely zero demand.
So I think what your mom can do is she can actually, when she's looking for roles, if there are roles that don't specify an ethnicity, so she can submit you for those roles. Because when a role does not require a particular ethnicity or a type, then for that role you can submit anytime. It doesn't require that you be a certain ethnicity or a certain color or certain race or whatever. So I think
Yeah.
it's a good idea for you to do that. But that's very good to hear. So now, what are your aspirations? Is Bollywood calling yet, or are you still waiting and watching that if maybe there is another project that comes along where you will just jump on it and say, hey, you know what, this is the new teenage love story and I think I deserve to be in it. You need to cast me opposite such and such actor's daughter, and that's going to be the beginning of something beautiful.
Well, of course, I jump on any role. I don't think I've ever rejected an audition or a role or anything like that. So I'd love to jump on any role that there is. Aspirations wise, I would love to go into Bollywood, of course, but I would also like to sort of dip my toes in Hollywood as well. I don't want to sort of just be constrained by Bollywood or Hollywood. I want to, sort of have an overarching view of everything, really, so I can act in any film. And I would love to work in like comedy films and things like that because I really do enjoy that sort of films. So if I ever get one of those type of roles, I'd love to act in those sort of movies. But yeah, aspirations wise, I'd love to do more films and more TV shows and things like that.
So let's say if you had to pick a profession outside of acting, what would it be? What would you like to do if you were not an actor?
Oh, I've always had a sort of interest in computers and things like that, and recently I've been getting into AI development and things like that. So I think if I had to pick a profession outside of acting, I would definitely go for AI development or software development. For example, creating games or things like that. That would be definitely one of my top picks.
Excellent. At least you know what you want to do. There are so many
Yeah,
kids who don't even know what they want to do today.
yeah.
It's
Well,
very, very good.
when I first sort of started taking acting very seriously, we sort of had to have a sit down and talk about, because acting is such a risky business where you don't know if you'll go up or if you'll go down. We really had to sit down and think like, are we going to pursue this? Do we have a plan A? Do we have a plan B? So plan A is obviously acting. If I could get into the acting business, that would be wonderful and things like that. But then you always have to have a contingency plan on what if it doesn't work out, you're gonna have to fall back on something and things like that. So we've definitely thought about everything. Like I've had talks with my mom and dad about these sort of things on what we'll do. I've been very lucky in the roles that I've gotten where, it hasn't been that much of an issue in these sort of things. So, you really have to think about these things before you start going into acting and start doing auditions, as much as I did.
So the next question I'm going to ask is mom and dad, and you guys can feel free to chime in now. How difficult was it to get to terms with the fact that your son is, and I know that Alka probably wants him to go in that direction. She wants him to be an actor, but I don't know about Ajay. Is Ajay also on the same page? And I mean, do you guys like the stardom? Do you like him to be the way he is?
I think Abhishek is very balanced in that way. I mean, when he is on the set, he's a very different kind of a child, and when he's at home, he's very different kind of a child. And plus, me and Ajay, we both have because we have another son who's older than him. We have always created that atmosphere at home that we don't create that kind of discrimination between Abhishek and so that nobody feels that okay he's a star or something. And I guess the best part of I really don't know about how it works in India because I know he has worked in Hindi films and all, but he has never been to Bombay or anything. And I have not been to Bombay either. That I've not seen any acting. I mean, any actor, child, or anybody. So I really can't comment on it. And Abhishek, in London, people were really like they are very down to earth. They will never make you as like, oh, Abhishek has come, so he's a star and such a big thing. So I think that has made Abhishek really grounded, and so even after working in many different projects, he has always at home. He's always our little one. So I never had any issues like that with him.
And what about dad? What does dad feel?
Well, my view is has always been that studies and keeping studies is important. What I have told Abhishek all the time that acting is a profession which depends a lot on hard work and your own destiny or your own luck itself. You could be a very good actor, but if you are not at the right time, at the right and given a right opportunity at the right place, then the chances of making a good career within acting is less. Whereas if you become a professional, let's say if you want to do a software engineering or do any specific professional career, then it at least guarantees that you have a future which can be secured. So this is how I have been explaining him that acting is a good interest. Keep that, and we do not want to discourage that. But at the same time, like for example, now he's getting into a teenage where studies are becoming more and more important because that will set the tone where exactly he's going to fall in future. So that is or that has been the idea that I have been trying to engrave in his mind, and making sure that he does not get away from his studies, or at least keeping that as a pursuit in the path towards a career. So I will say that once he attains the age of 18 or 20, there it comes more clearer in terms of definition whether he will continue to pursue further in acting. But until then, I will still insist on him to keep his focus on the studies, and especially next few years are going to be important for him. And that is the reason why we haven't been pushing too much of getting an assignment on the acting side. And besides, being in Finland also doesn't give the same amount of opportunity. So it's like, I will say, we are at the right place at the right time to keep him grounded.
No, I see that there's a very beautiful balance between you and your wife. You know, the wife is so sort of supportive and she's pushing him into this, and you want to keep him grounded. So I don't have any doubt in my mind that Abhishek is going to be a very well-rounded personality, because he's got the best of both worlds. He's got a practical father who's got a very good head on his shoulders, and he's got a dreamer mother who's got dreams in her eyes about him. So I think there's no doubt in my mind. See, sometimes we make tough choices. Like, you know, look at me. I mean, I started acting at a late age. I got into the acting industry at about 34, 35. And everybody told me, oh, you know, and they regularly give me roles where they have to gray my hair, make me look 60 years old. And, you know, I continuously take those roles, or I get roles where, you know, I play the bad guy with acting. So, you know, that's what it is. And I think I can totally see that you would be his biggest supporter once he reaches the 18-year mark, which you said as yourself. I think
Right.
you will be the one pushing him more than your wife, I think. I mean, you know, even though Alka is his, you know, one of his ardent supporters, I can totally see you. Once you are convinced that this is the route he's going to take, I think you will be his biggest supporter.
Right. Yeah. No. That's the idea, and that's the idea. And I have told them that once you do your basic education, and basic education is basically means once you are ready to go into the university, and that would be the time for him to make a decision whether he wants to pursue his career in acting, or whether he wants to pursue his career in software development or so. And most likely, depending on how exactly he is there at that moment, he would be in a position to take. But if we now only kind of say that, okay, acting is the one, what you are going to do it, probably he will lose the focus altogether in the other aspect of the career. So that's how I have been trying to guide him through.
Alka, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was actually saying that because I have seen him acting in British and Bollywood. So I got bit worried when he was working with Bollywood, because there is like a upside difference between Bollywood and British television and all. Because British, even if you are a biggest actor in that show or whatever it is, because it is called The Midwife, he did in one, he was like, it's each episode has its own story, and he was like in one of the episode he was in the lead acting. But even though you are a big actor, you've been treated like, Abhishek just started in that was his first project, but he was treated the same level as the senior actors. But whereas Bollywood, I got a bit scared, because till the time he was because in both the movies he was in lead actor, I mean he was into that main characters. But the only difference what I saw is, like, in Bollywood you get I think you get to lose your reality, lose your originality or something like that, you know, because they pamper you so much when you are on the set, and the moment you are finished with your shot, and when you are done with your acting, and then so they have a very different kind of so what is doing Bollywood, because I was like, does he really need to pursue this as a career? I was bit, you know, I was in two minds at that point of time, I think. So when he told me that I would be more interested in Hollywood, so I was like, yeah, I think you should be. But otherwise, I think I have always been supportive, because I love him. He enjoys acting, that I have seen. And I think I would always support him if he I have whatever I could. I have always done whatever I can.
And it shows. It shows that you guys are great parents, and Abhishek is very fortunate to have parents like you. So, Abhishek, who is your inspiration? Who do you consider your inspiration as an actor?
There are so many, but I would say inspiration wise, Irfan Khan, obviously recently passed away, which was very sad. But I would say he's my inspiration just because of how he was acting a lot in Bollywood, in films, big films and small films. But he also wasn't afraid to dip his toes in Hollywood, like for example Jurassic Park and those sort of films. So that's sort of what I want to be like when I started doing more and more research about him, and how he's laid out his career and what he's done, how he's sort of been in every place. I just got sort of mesmerized with that and said, that's what I want to be like. I want to be in sort of every sort of industry. So that's like one of my big inspirations. Yeah.
So, let me ask you a straight question. Where do you see yourself in about, how old are you? 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Where do
15.
you see yourself in another 5 years?
Oh, these questions are very difficult. There's like 5 year, 10 year things. Well, in next 5 years, I'll be 20. So, I mean, it's a tough question to ask. I mean, I've always seen myself to be in university and studying for getting my computer science degree, but at the same time, I also have this desire to become an actor, and then I also see myself acting, going for auditions and things like that. But then I also think I can do both at the same time. So I believe that I will be in university studying to get my degree, but at the same time, I will also be acting. So what my plan is that I will go to university, I will get my degree and things like that. But after university, I'll get maybe a job, but I'll keep on going for auditions. So I'll keep going for
You haven't thought
auditions and
about film school? You never thought about film school?
oh yeah, we have thought about film school. So in London, I thought about going to a film school, but obviously in London we knew that we were gonna have to leave, so we didn't think about that. But I've also thought about film school in Juilliard's, but that's also a very big school and that sort of thing. But I've always thought about that. I mean, of course, I will apply for as many schools as I can, and Juilliard's will definitely be on that list. And if by any chance I do get in, I would want to go there. But at the same time, I would also want to go get a degree in computer science and things like that. Because when I see big actors, some of them don't, have degrees in film and things like that, but they're still such huge actors. Like for example, there's this actor in Hollywood. He got a degree as a doctor, but he's still a huge actor. So like those sort of things where he has a proper job title, but at the same time he's still acting and turned it into his main sort of profession. So I think that I will keep on working towards my different sort of other aspirations, but at the same time, once or if I get a big role in Bollywood or in Hollywood, then I would definitely move over my attention if I think, okay, yes, this is becoming now very serious, and I have a very very good chance of becoming a well-known good actor. So then I would sort of move myself into that and just go on even more auditions than I usually do. But I think I have a lot of practice in balancing sort of going to auditions, but at the same time also sort of keeping a commitment to something else. Because in London I had school, but then I also had auditions. So I would know when to sort of draw the line, like, okay, I have to go to school right now, I can't go to audition. But at the same time, there would be times where I'd skip like the last session of school, last hour of school, just to go to an audition, and that didn't affect my studies that much. So I know how to balance these sort of things. But I think in 5 years I'll definitely be in university studying and also acting in roles, things like that.
I see you agreeing with your father. That's exactly what your father was saying, that he would like for you to have a stable career and then think about acting. So I'm glad to see that father and son are on the same page, which is a very good thing.
Yeah, no, obviously, he says that a lot, and I do agree with it. I do need to have a stable career, but at the same time, I don't think I would ever be afraid of taking a risk, because obviously risk taking is very important in acting. So if I would consult with my parents, but if I saw a chance to, really cement my feet into a particular industry or cement my feet into acting as a whole, then I would definitely take that risk and go into it if I thought it was necessary. And yeah.
Any words of advice for fellow child actors that you could actually, since you've been published, you've got works that you can actually show. Any advice that you want to give, other children who are actors?
Never give up, because you are gonna go on so many auditions and you will get rejected like 90% of the time. It's usually not because of your acting. It's mainly because they need a different body type, or they need a different race or things like that. It's usually not because of acting, but when you go into the acting industry, you need to be prepared for rejection. And also the way that you get rejected in roles is just they don't respond to you. Like usually there isn't a message like, hey, sorry, you didn't get accepted into this role. It's just nothing comes. So when that happens after like a couple months, you do get sort of disheartened. And at the start of when I first started doing auditions, that definitely did happen. But you just need to remember that just keep going, keep working hard, and eventually you will get a role that will sort of set you off and make you get progressively more roles and more roles. You just need to keep working hard on it. And that's literally the only advice you'll ever need. Just work hard and eventually you'll get something.
That's very inspiring. Now, if somebody has to check out your work, do you have a website that you have for your work?
Well, I do have the Mark German website where they do have all of my works with the BBC work, then also the Bollywood works and things like that. I also have IMDb page, a Facebook, and all these sort of different areas where you can go and check out my other interviews, my other films, my other adverts, things like that. So yeah.
So you go by the name of Abhishek Singh on Facebook?
Yeah.
You have
Abhishek
your own page
Singh
on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
I found so when I publish this interview, I'm going to add your links to the YouTube video so that people can easily find you and offer you roles and, try to distract you from your studies.
That'd be great.
Excellent. It has been absolutely phenomenal chatting with you. And I want to thank you. I want to thank your mom, Alka. I want to thank your dad, Ajay. And my friend Krishna dropped out for some reason. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I love chatting with you. And I absolutely, the balance between the mom and the dad is just amazing. How, dad wants to stay grounded and mom wants you to dream. You need to see how beautiful it is and love it for the way it is. And these are both parents who want you to succeed in life.
Yeah. Definitely, I don't forget it.
Any other thoughts, mom and dad? Any parting thoughts in the end?
I mean, today?
Yeah, we are about to finish the call. So.
Nah, I think he speaks for himself. Nowadays we don't have to speak for him. So I think he speaks his art out by himself, and he's a pretty expressive person in terms of expressing his own emotions and what kind of career he wants. And I think, and the best part with Abhishek is that he listens to both of us. He listens to both our thing. He understands the practicality of life, that okay, you need to have because he understands that okay, acting can't be a job which you can rely on. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work, but then education is something which is going to be there forever. So he knows both aspects. So I think he's very pretty clear with that. That's why he's very clear with his views that what is his like, what is he going to do in future. So I am there always to support him. I'm always there to help him as a mother. Whatever I can, I will do it. And so as his father, I guess. I think he's more into education and all, because he feels that it is the most important part of your life.
And he's not
Oh
wrong.
no, I don't think. I think that I'm currently undetermined on which one I like more, because I like acting, but I also love studies and things like that. I don't think I prefer one to the other. I mean, I think if I had to choose one as a career, that like a proper stable career, I would choose acting, but at the same time, studies are always important. So I can't really distinguish between which one I like more, which is kind of a weird thing to say. But yeah, I don't think I could ever say that I like acting more or I like studies more.
It'll
I
come
like
to you.
both.
Don't worry. It will come to you.
Yeah.
Trust me, it comes to everybody, because, we all think we know everything, but sometimes we need to take a step back and look at the big picture and see which one is better. Sometimes our dreams have to take a back seat, and practicality has to sit in the driver's seat and drive us. And, you need to be a well-rounded, and as I told you earlier, that you are a well-rounded personality, because I see you as somebody who's focused and down to earth, and you're not flying in the sky, which is very
Thank you.
important. If you start doing that, then obviously your future is very uncertain. But
Yeah.
keep your eyes on the road, and the rest is going to work out just fine. I think you'll make good decisions. You're a good kid. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much,
And I
Dad, Mom, Abhishek. It was beautiful chatting with you, and thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you so much,
Yeah, and
Sonny, and good luck to you.
we would really like to thank you for giving him an opportunity to come and speak in front of the public, which maybe he can't see right now, but I'm sure it will go to many people out there, and I'm really thankful for that. That you gave him an opportunity.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
I mean, it's always important to highlight talent. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to highlight talent which is hidden, right? People don't know about. So that is the reason why I am, speaking with you guys. And it gives me a lot of joy that, you were my junior in school. So,
Yes.
speaking with you, I see you all grown up. You have kids now,
Yes. I was telling Abhishek that he was one of the very good-looking, handsome boy when he was in our school. I think most of the girls were after you when you were in school.
No. Those days are long gone. Now even my wife doesn't chase me anymore.
that is for sure. Now things have changed, but good to see you also on and maybe it was a bit late, but it's good that you came on the screen. So it's nice to see you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Such a pleasure to speak with you guys. You're a beautiful, beautiful family. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Sonny.
you.